I've talked before about the problem of chiropractors, and now we are actually seeing chiropractors who, many of whom are anti-vaccine. And I'll talk about what I mean when I say many. Chiropractors are increasingly a force of misinformation, as reported by the Associated Press. Let's read a little bit of this article, and then I'm going to give you some of my thoughts. This is an article from Providence, Rhode Island, about a event called VaxCon 21, promoted as teaching people the uncensored truth about COVID vaccines. And participants traveled from around the country to a Wisconsin Dells resort for a sold-out convention that was a sea of misinformation and conspiracy theories. The featured speaker was the anti-vax activist from the 2020 movie Plandemic. The convention was organized by members of a profession that has become a major purveyor of vaccine misinformation during the pandemic: chiropractors. At a time when the Surgeon General says misinformation has become an urgent threat to public health, an investigation by the AP found a vocal and influential group of chiropractors capitalizing on the pandemic by sowing fear and mistrust of vaccines. They've touted supplements as alternatives to vaccines, written doctor's notes to allow patients to get out of mask and immunization mandates, donated large sums of money to anti-vaccine organizations, and sold anti-vaccine ads on Facebook and Instagram, the AP discovered. One chiropractor gave thousands to a super PAC hosting anti-vaccine pro-Trump rally on January 6th. They have also been the leading force behind anti-vax events like the one in Wisconsin, where hundreds of chiropractors from around the country shelled out $299 to attend. The AP found chiropractors were allowed to earn continuing ed credits to maintain their licenses in at least 10 states. Going on to say, public health advocates are alarmed by the number of chiropractors hitching themselves to the anti-vaccine movement, using their public prominence and sheen of medical expertise to undermine the nation's response to a pandemic that has killed 700,000. So let's talk about chiropractors, okay? I'm not 100% against chiropractors. I'm about 85% against them. And here's what I'll tell you by that. In some places, people go to a chiropractor almost like a primary care doctor. In fact, in California, chiropractors can be PCPs. And they are often anti-vaccine, and they often promote a ton of different woo. So the stuff from chiropractors that's a disaster includes things like, for the anti-vaccine stuff, as well as chiropractic adjustments as treatments for systemic conditions of different kinds, infections, etc. Neck adjustments, back adjustments, etc. Just simply no evidence that they treat infections and other systemic conditions. Okay, number two, a lot of chiropractors are in the woo. Stuff like, and you can see some of these on YouTube. I mean, there's people that go to chiropractors on YouTube, they film it, and you hear stuff like, make sure to drink a lot of extra water after the adjustment to flush out the toxins released by the back cracking and the neck stuff that I did. That's total nonsense. I mean, just when you think about how the body works, drink water to flush through the kidneys for a adjustment it just doesn't make sense. Okay, so that you got to be very, very careful with. Neck stuff, check out on YouTube and articles from spine surgeons and back surgeons about the risk of neck adjustments and what can happen from neck manipulations done by chiropractors. So all of this stuff is horrible, huge. At best, you're spending money on something that will do nothing. And at worst, you could end up really hurt. Now, what's the part that maybe is okay? There are some things chiropractors do that are also done by physical therapists and are more within the realm of reality as long as you understand their goal. So like, for example, I once went to a physical therapist when I was having some back pain, and they do some very specific back cracking things, not where you put a strap under your neck and pull to extend, no, but just some specific back cracking things, which they say, this is not really treatment, but while we're building a routine for you to strengthen muscles and maybe deal with a spasm or whatever, some of these specific back crackings can provide some short-term relief. Okay. Beyond that, we got to be really careful with chiropractors. So it's not a surprise that this is a group that is doing things that are horrible, including, as we covered in Florida, saying, just come on down and I'll sign off on a mask or vaccine exemption for you. And that is extraordinarily concerning. And I'm really glad that the AP is writing about this. It says the purveyors of vaccine misinformation represent a small but vocal minority of the nation's 70,000 chiropractors, many of whom advocate for vaccines. So I think that that's important. And what I've said to people when they say, so should no one go to a chiropractor? This is not my idea. You can find this information online. What should be done if you're considering going to a chiropractor is you call up and you actually ask their view on chiropractic adjustments. And you say, do you believe chiropractic adjustments can be used to, for example, treat things like sinus infections or, cancer, imagine. What's your view on vaccination, et cetera? You can usually pretty quickly, if you ask, there's like 5 or 6 questions you can find online to ask a possible chiropractor. You can pretty quickly suss out like which side of things they're on. You can also more than likely get what you need from a physical therapist. And there you're talking about different type of setting, and that may be something to consider as well. But chiropractors increasingly a source of anti-vaccine disinformation. Let's move on to another source of disinformation.